Hi, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and welcome back to the greenhouse. Today I'm working on some more topiaries. This time these are lavenders. Now I have several different cuttings that I've rooted, and now I am going to show you how I kind of form them into a topiary. Now these take a long time to become the shape you want them, so to get very big too. So it takes a lot of patience, but they're still pretty when they're smaller, so you can really enjoy having them whether they're small or whether they're large. So I'm going to set my camera down, point it towards my work table so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll get to making our lavender topiary. Plus we'll get to smell that beautiful lavender smell. So what I'm doing right now is I'm mixing up some of my very loose potting soil mix. I use some compost that I have made from my compost bin, and then I have also added some horticultural sand. There's a little bit of perlite in here, and rice hulls. That's Hulls. Somebody said they didn't know what I was saying, like holes. No, rice hulls. And they're a great way of adding extra drainage as well as moisture retentiveness. So that's why I use that. And then the horticultural sand really adds some weight to the pot because sometimes they can get top heavy, as well as increase the drainage. So I'm going to point my camera down a little bit further so you can see what I'm doing on the table. So this is my pot that I'm going to put my lavender plant in. Now these are all cuttings. See, this is a cutting that I have rooted, and you see how it's different than this one over here. And this is a cutting, a very different, it's got white stems on it. But for today, I'm going to repot this one. Look at those roots on that. Isn't that beautiful? Anyways, I'm not sure what lavender this is. I should have taken pictures at my friend's. She has the one that has all these lavender plants, different ones that she's gotten over the last couple of years. And I rooted them. I tried to root a bazillion, and I've got like maybe one or two of each variety. So for various reasons, the others didn't make it, mostly my error. So I'm getting this filled to about most of the way. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty close because you see how you need room for those roots, but I don't want to bury the stem much further than it already has been in its original pot. And then I'm just filling it up with my loose sandy mix, trying to get it in the middle as much as possible, and then it will grow up from here. I usually stake mine with bamboo. Let me get a piece of bamboo over here. I may need to cut it. But I'll put this down in the pot, sink it all the way down, and then I can tie this up to it as it grows. So this is winter, so this isn't going to go or do much right now. So in the spring, it will put on some new growth and do great. Also, if you wish, you can top it with some real pretty stones. Let me grab my stones. I think I got these at Lowe's or Home Depot. I spotted them on a shelf, and I just thought they were really pretty. And they're called river rocks. So, anyways, I thought they were a pretty color. Oh, it's spruce. I didn't know that. And you just top up the top of your pot. I think I want a little more soil in there with your pretty stones. And it just makes it a little more attractive as you wait for the lavender to grow bigger. So there's that one. We're going to wait. I'm not going to tie it right now because it's not leaning any particular way, but the post is there for if I do have to tie it up. And we've got the pretty stones. This will stay in my greenhouse or out in the garden. My lavender lives My lavender lives outdoors. I'm zone 8A, and even though we get a lot of snow, etc., we don't get like below freezing. We get down into 10, 15 degrees once in a while, but it's not for a consistent amount of time. Our lows are typically in the mid 20s to 30s in the winter. Okay, there's the first one. Now I do have a tutorial video on how I take lavender cuttings to root. So you can go see that. I'll put a link in the description box and maybe one up here so you can go see that one. It's not my best video because I was just getting started, but you get the idea. So I'm going to put this camera back down. And this is a perfect specimen for topiary. You look, see how that's splitting? That will make a really neat lollipop shape. I'm going to pot this one up just like I did that first one into terracotta. I like terracotta because it breathes and it's harder, I should say, to overwater. Now we're going to prune up this one. Let me clean up my mess a little bit. We're going to prune on this one. This one has been around for a while, and it needs some pruning. Look how thick. Let me get this out of the way. I'll get my little stake out of the way. The stem is the trunk is getting pretty thick, which that means it's older, but it's doing really well. So it's been outside, so it's looking a little gnarly, and it really could benefit from a little bit of a prune. And I will show you how I do that. Okay, now I want it to be a round shape, and I've got some that are kind of coming off at a weird angle, like this one. So I am going to, and that could have happened when it got snowed on. This got bent down and it stayed. So I'm going to come back to a spot here and prune it up. And then let's see, it's got a stem coming upwards, which is nice. That'll help fill out that area. Now this one over here also is kind of going too far wonky. I don't want it to go down. And it's looking the same, like it got pushed down by the snow. It could have been like newer growth. We get late snows, like in late May, and this could have put on new growth and then had the heavy snow come down on it and weigh it down. And sometimes it'll actually tear them away from the trunk. That's just the nature of our springs. It could be really warm for a lot of the end of April, the beginning of May, and then just dump a foot of snow. And we get the heavy, heavy, wet snow that we call Sierra cement, because it can really do a number on our plants because it's so heavy, so wet and heavy. I'm just trimming off all these that are just kind of shooting down and out and down. And then these, even though this one's shooting outwards, it's got stems going up, so it's going to create that round shape. And I'm just turning it to look at maybe where there's some damaged ones and could use a little cleaning up. And we had a very warm October, early November, and then it turned like freezing, dropped 20 degrees in one day. And so a lot of things still hadn't had a chance to harden off and go dormant. And so a lot of growth, new growth, got zapped. I'll show you what I mean. You see, this is a boxwood. And you see this brown top? This was pretty new growth, but it was very tender. And then we had one of those freezes and it got zapped. This is going to be a topiary too. I'm going to get to the boxwood topiaries soon that I'm trying to create. I'm just having a good time trying to make topiaries. It takes time to get where you would like them to be, but in the meantime, as I said before, they're still pretty. It's really a lot of fun. And I like looking back. Like I'll look back at this video next year, and sometimes I'm really surprised at how much they've grown, because when you're just watching them grow, you don't notice it. But then when you look back and compare, that you can see a considerable difference. And it's really nice to see. And then it's very encouraging to keep going, that it is growing. Like this one has got, I mean, compared to this one, look at the size of that trunk and this little bitty thing. So there's that. Okay, it's looking pretty good. And there's kind of fresh growth up here. And actually these I can top, and I could try to root these. Even though it's winter, I could take them, put them in a little pot to root, and then take them indoors under my lights that I have in there and put them on a heat mat, and they just might go ahead and root. So even though this is December 29th. So that is this lavender topiary, and it's really going to feel, I got a little feather in there. It's going to fill out even more as I keep pruning it back. It'll send out laterals. So it'll be more lollipop shape, and hopefully also grow taller. This depends on the variety about how tall they get, of what they are. Now this was a cutting I took, and I didn't mark it, so I'm not sure what it is. This could be Grosso, Grosso, or Grow Blue, Grosbleu. It's one of those two varieties, but this one's looking really ratty. So anyways, that is how I create lavender topiaries. Now with this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. You see I have several stems coming up from the base. I didn't cut them all off and just have one main stem. And what I'm doing, these little ones can go around the edges. And what I'm doing is kind of braiding these together. And I'm going to tie them, and eventually that will grow together. I did this with some Japanese maples that I started from seed, and it just made a beautiful trunk. So I'm just testing to see what this will do. Even if they don't grow together, it'll be easier for me to create a lollipop shape, because there's more stems for laterals to come out from. So I left this with the little flowers on it for you, so you can see what I'm going to do. I should tie this. I will tie this. I'll get my little strip, and then I am going to just do this. Cut these blooms off, because that's all these are. They're not really stems. And this will send out laterals. And I always pinch off anything that grows below the line where I want it to balloon out from. That way it shoots all the energy into producing the laterals up here, little stems up here. Here's a little one down here I still need to cut off. And I will also put a piece of bamboo in here and tie it to it, and that will keep it upright. Not that it seems to be having any trouble right now. I want to put this into a terracotta pot like this one, and then I'll also put the soil on that. But I just want to show you the different varieties of lavender that I'm turning into topiaries, or trying to. I shouldn't say I am. I'm trying desperately to do so. Now this is even a different variety. This one has serrated leaves, and I've already got it started. I see there's a little bit of growth right there. I just rub it off because I don't want the growth down here. And it doesn't need a top trim right now, but we'll see what kind of growth it puts on this spring. And I got some little wire vines stuck in the bottom here to see if it will fill in. That would make a pretty filler on the bottom, because it will spill out and be really pretty. So I will be sure to update you next summer on how these all look, and we'll check in to see how big they've grown, and I'll even check in next winter to see how much they've grown. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please, if you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification button, like this video, and leave a comment. Leave me a comment on what you'd like to see me try next. I'm also going to do this one. I forgot it. He got tucked aside. But I will see you later. Bye.